Hi everyone. Hi. I'm here to talk about my narcissistic parents who were horrific. And these were really the traits of what a narcissist. I made a list of who they are. And actually the reason I made this in some sort of an emoji form, because it's really very, very difficult for me to actually talk about it. So the first thing is about my parents, they have no empathy. They, in fact, I went to some psychic rabbi who was actually by Ocean Avenue here in Brooklyn. And he looked at my name and he looked at my mother's name and he says, wow, this woman has no empathy towards you. She has no feelings. So one of the biggest trait about narcissists, they have no feelings about anyone except themselves. Everything is about them. Also, what they are is very jealous. One thing about them, they are extremely, extremely jealous. And normal parents would want a child to do a lot better than what exactly they did. But my parents always wanted to see me down, and they enjoyed it, in fact. Which I couldn't understand it. Why would my father and why would my mother would want to see me down and really enjoy seeing me fail? So, so one of the things was they were very, very jealous, extremely, extremely jealous. Actually, my mother at one point brought me back to the house, to live with her, so that way to keep her marriage, to keep her marriage going on with my father. So she used me only to keep her marriage going. And my father, who for decades promised that he's going to help me out financially, he would give me, he would give me some money. He would give me some money toward a house. Okay, that never really actually happened. So everything he said to me was a lie. So the first thing is they have no empathy. The second thing is you cannot talk to parents that are narcissistic. You cannot really, if something is bothering you and you're upset about something, you really cannot talk to them. Okay, because everything is about themselves. They only talk about themselves. If something bothers them, they would call me and they would tell me exactly what their problems are. But they would never really, my father would never really call me to see how I was. Everything was whatever he needed, he would call me for something that he needed. So they would only talk about themselves. They really could not care less about me and my needs. For example, here in Brooklyn, New York, right now, it's freezing. And what they actually did when I came into their house, what they did was they actually closed the heat. Even though I told them that I was very cold when I came to their house, they really couldn't care less. And they intentionally closed the heat at 25-degree weather. Okay, what they were telling me is that they felt warm, and if I'm cold, it's too bad on me. Another thing is that they showed very little interest in me, and they will interrupt a conversation, okay, only to talk about themselves. I mean, I never had a chance that I was able to go to my mother with any of my problems throughout my life. I knew from the age of 3 or 4 years old, something was very, very wrong with my mother. She would beat me for no reason. She would slap me across my mouth. That's the reason all my life I was a stutterer. She would just continue slapping me across my mouth. And I knew at a very young age that something was very wrong. I did nothing wrong, and I would come back from school. She would take out a stick and she would beat me, actually for no reason. Another thing about a narcissist, they're rule breakers. Okay, they would violate rules and norms. I'm saying, for example, my mother refuses to recycle. I'm surprised that all these years, I mean, the garbage, the sanitation department never really actually have given her a ticket. Maybe they gave her a ticket, one or two, but most of the time she refuses to recycle. Even I told her, Mom, you need to recycle. My father, after the age of 65, actually refused to pay any taxes. He felt he was, all the time they felt that they were above the law. As far as their tenants concerned, they would scream, yell, curse, carry on with their tenants. Actually, for months, okay, if their tenant refused to pay them rent, they would harass them, really actually harass them to death. So anything having to do with rules and regulations, my parents never followed any forms of rules and regulation. They always thought that they were above the law, and they had a sense of, okay, of entitlement. Another thing they would violate, what they would violate is the boundaries. They actually showed very little regard for people's thoughts, feelings, and possessions. Many times my mother had the keys, and she would come into my house, and without my knowledge, actually threw out my vitamins, my minerals, the things that I paid hundreds of dollars on. She would throw away my stuff without my permission. She had no consideration or any form of sensitivity. A few times she would borrow things from me, and she never returned anything, repeatedly. Another thing is they have no remorse, and they would blame me. All the time I would be blamed that I'm disrespectful to them. So a big thing about them, about a narcissist, they have no remorse. When I confronted actually my mother, you beat me all my life. Why did you do that? She completely denied it. My father, for the past 50 years, he was a cheater and a liar and a pathological liar. He has no remorse whatsoever. Instead of going ahead and divorcing, he stuck around in the marriage only for the purposes of not giving her his monies, half of what he had. He was a horrible person. And a big thing about the narcissist is putting up, what we call is negative emotion. They would always make me feel inferior. And my mother straight outside said to me, I'm above you. You're beneath me. You would never be as much as what I am. Here's a woman who never, I think maybe went up to the 9th or the 10th grade. And she thought that she was superior to me. Here I was, I'm a person that have an engineering, a master's degree. And she would always tell me that I was inferior to her. I was inferior. And she always tried to make me feel that I was actually inferior to her, that she was superior to me. And she straight out have said to me, you're always beneath me. You'll never be at where I'm at. So she would try to bring all sorts of negative emotion. She would scream, curse, yell, scream at me in public, scream at my father in public. Would carry on just like a lunatic person, only to get exactly what she wanted. She'd throw tantrum. She would take her hands, and actually she at times hit herself on the face as a shock, to shock everybody. And she always tried to keep me insecure and off balance. The game plan of a narcissist is to keep you off balance, and always insecure. Insecure. She would, when you tried to criticize her, she would respond with heated arguments. Or with my father, he would give me the cold shoulder. With my mother, if I said something, I would speak out my mind. She responded with heated arguments that I was nothing, that I was shit. Okay, I don't belong to be alive. And with my father, for years and years, he would give me like the cold shoulder. I would eat with him, and then he would run off. Throughout the meal, he would never even speak to me. A narcissist, which is my parents, okay, are quick to judge. They criticize me. They ridiculed me and blame me for all my problems. Whatever I had, whatever situation I had, it was always me. So these are like the top 6 things as far as about a narcissist. Let's go over it. The first thing is they have no empathy. They don't feel any remorse, and they really couldn't care less about anybody, including their own children. Okay, they would. Another thing is, a narcissist will use anybody actually for their own gain. Number 3, they are rule breakers. They're liars. They're pathological liars. They're con artists. They're horrific people. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4, the boundary. When it comes to boundary, they would actually violate any form of boundaries. What did I say? Number 5 and number 6, they would bring out all sorts of negative emotions. They love to terrorize people. They enjoy to terrorize a person only to be in total control. They will terrorize you and terrorize anybody from you, okay, in order to gain control. These are the people what you got to do is to keep away from. With my parents, I would speak to them. I would see them like 10 minutes, 15 minutes the most. I would have just to have a little contact or no contact at all. It just so happens to be my sister became a narcissist. She thinks that she's entitled to everything and anything. And she was like the golden child, and I was the scapegoat. She got everything, and I got absolutely nothing. So with my parents and my sister, they ended up being narcissistic, my family. So anybody that has a similar situation to mine, I suggest to you, you just walk away. You spend a little time, like 10, 15 minutes, if you have to travel, a half an hour, okay, and then you walk away from them. These are not the sort of people you want to be around, you really want to be around. They are the horror of all horrors. They will put you down, degrade you, call you name, curse you out, and unbelievably, my mother would curse me out actually straight to my face. So if you have a toxic person like the people that I had to deal with, the best way to deal with that situation is to walk away. Believe me, for your sanity, for your emotional health, you have to walk away. Anyway, I love you all, okay? And it's great chatting with everybody. Bye.